So here we go. Now I went around and did the routing for the trim of this for the insert, and so we can put our insert in here and see how we did. Feels actually it's pretty snug. There's a little bit of gapping on the edges, just very minimal, just due to the drawing there. But other than that, it looks fairly well. It's nice and flat. Doesn't seem to have an edge to it, so that's always good. And now it's on to the router. So according to the instructions, we're supposed to use the router base plate as our guide to attach it to the base plate. So what we want to make sure of is where our adjustments are, our power switch, and how to ease for changing bits and things like that. So for me, I've decided I'm gonna leave it about like this, so that way I can easily adjust it up and down. The clamp is right here, and then I can easily change bits if I have to without taking it out of the table. So here we go. So all I really did was take the base plate, set it on top of my router where I wanted it, and then flipped it all over as one, so I could mark the holes. Now with the rings that are around this, it makes it a lot easier to line it up to make sure that it's even, and it actually helps to center the bit. So it looks about like everything's right. Give me some colored pencils and mark it up. There is one thing I forgot. So there's a secondary hole next to one of the screw holes, and that's actually for your adjustment knob, which is right here. And so you can stick an Allen key down through the top and adjust it right there. So make sure, if you want to use that adjustment, to go ahead and drill another hole next to it. So a good idea when you're drilling these out is to use that piece that you cut out of your bench to drill into, so that way when it goes through, it doesn't break the other side of the plastic. So I'll show you in a second. So I drilled 6 holes altogether. So these 2 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then these 3 over here. So what I was talking about is you can see these holes are nice and smooth. There's no breaking or chipping or anything. But these holes over here, when I came through without something underneath it, it actually chipped away. Luckily, since we have these flathead screws, we're gonna want to inset them a little bit. So once we go through with a bigger drill bit to inset this with, that'll disappear. So just be careful, take your time, and you don't need to have the drill going too fast. So I've got all my holes drilled, and I've went around and I've done the insets for the screws. Is when you're doing this, make sure you keep putting the screw in to make sure that you're flush. And like I said, I got rid of most of the notching that happened earlier. There's a little bit left, but I mean, it's gonna get hit and bumped, and as long as it's not like unlevel, you should be fine. So out of all of them, I mean, I did have a couple that weren't quite straight over the hole, but so I had to dig the hole out a little bit, and if it didn't sit in there well, you might have to go into it a little bit more with your bigger bit, but let's see how it all goes in. So I know you can't see me, but I'll stick the cord down through the table here. Make sure my it's all blown out. And we're gonna see how it sits. So we're pretty much at the end of our journey. Here we go. We have it all mounted up and router underneath the table. All we have to do now is put the locks in, so that way. I did have an issue when I went to put my router through the hole. One of the handles was hitting the edge underneath, so I had to just take one of the handles off to get it to set down in there. For me, I have a bag that my router came in, so I'm just keeping all my spare parts in there, and I'm gonna get these last few hold downs in, and then we'll be done.